The Torah tells us that Yitzchak stood opposite his wife praying to have a child. The word that the Torah uses is lenochach, that opposite. And Rashi brings the Gemara in Yevamos that Yitzchak stood in one corner and Rivka stood in the other corner and they prayed. Why does the Torah have to tell us that they stood in separate corners and they prayed? Why didn't they pray together? Or why didn't the Torah just say that they prayed? Perhaps we could explain that usually in marriage or in many relationships, when things start going bad or when there's a difficult time that really has nothing to do with any of the sides or any of the individuals involved in the relationship, the issue and the problem becomes a part of the relationship and it breaks the two apart. What Yitzchak realized was that he had to daven for himself and Rivka had to daven for herself because individually they each had something that they needed. They each had an issue and they needed a solution. In fact, psychologists have found that prayer in marriages have helped tremendously. There was a study in 2010 that found that that couples that prayed actually increased the level of trust and decreased the level of infidelity. And a following study in 2011 also found that, in fact, couples that were going through challenges, if they began praying individually, if they began praying for their marriage and praying for each other and praying for help, they in fact were able to include that in the marriage therapy. Their relationships developed and became better. Perhaps what Yitzchak and Rivka were doing in our parsha was that they were taking ownership over the issue, over the problem. And Yitzchak did not blame Rivka that she wasn't able to become pregnant. And Rivka did not blame Yitzchak that she wasn't able to become pregnant. Rather, they saw this as an issue that was deeper and more spiritual, that they had to reach out to God to help them and for guidance. And therefore, this did not become a break or a wall between the two of them and their marriage.